afternoon, everyone. My name is Julie Reuter, and I'm the Field Services Training Manager for the Wyoming Department of Corrections. For IACTP, I'm the Community Corrections Representative. If you have any questions today, we also have Christy Weiler, our team leader, on. You can private message her if you have questions or need any problem solving with the software, and she'll be collecting questions throughout our seminar here. Very pleased to be able to moderate the Department of Corrections Onboarding Making It Happen webinar. Today we have our whole onboarding think tank who will be sharing information about our onboarding program. The team consists of Team Lead and Reentry Manager Christy Weiler, Policy and Planning Manager Kayla Opdahl, HR Representatives Tank and Stormy Williams, Presenting Manager Elisa Cook, Training Lieutenant Aaron Blair, Information Officer Mark Horan, AC Coordinator Carrie Stanley, Rec Manager Melody Norris, and Unit Secretary Tamara Gruenhagen. I have a few housekeeping items. If you guys could place your phones on mute, that works out the best to avoid background noise. We've created a session to be interactive, so feel free to speak up if you have questions or answers. It looks like we just have 2 participants today, so just feel free to bring questions that you have and make this interactive. We want to make this as user-friendly and as effective for you as possible. As I indicated, there's that chat area, so if you have questions that come up while we're speaking, you can chat those to Christy, and when we have a break, she'll bring those questions up so we can answer those. That, I guess, pretty much opens it up. Are there any other questions before we get started? All right. Well, go ahead, Kevin. Did you have a question?
I said I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And I want to know you have more than 2 participants because there's a couple other people here with verbally.
All right. Thank you, Maine. We appreciate that. Good to hear. We were wishing we're in Maine. We miss being there. Last year was amazing in Portland, so we're glad to have you on the webinar.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome the dynamic and knowledgeable onboarding team, and we will get started. So thinking back to starting a new job and about your first day of employment, I thought I would start this session off by sharing one of my first days of employment and kind of how that went down. So I interviewed for being the training manager here at the Wyoming Department of Corrections. I had to do it on my own time. I had to take off a day of work and drive across the state of Wyoming to come to an interview, and due to the time of my interview, I had to get a hotel. So fiscally responsible and all, I tried to find a moderately priced hotel. Well, with moderate prices comes moderate ratings, but I figured I'd be fine. I've stayed in many different types of hotels and didn't have a problem. However, this is what I drove up to. The lobby is in a hotel room. I found out this is essentially an impromptu, informal halfway house. Many clients on probation or parole live at this hotel. I was unloading my car in the parking lot. There was some sort of altercation across the parking lot. I'm pretty sure alcohol was involved. At my room, the TV doesn't work. All of this ruckus down the hall, people hanging out in the hallway. So I tried to get a refund, and they would not get a refund. So I had to settle in for the night thinking, I'm going to come out and my car is going to be on blocks, and I wonder if I'm going to get any sleep with all of these people hanging out in the hallways of the hotel. Not the best experience first interviewing for this position, and while certainly I should have done some more research on the front end, it all would have been beneficial if the individuals calling me for an interview said, here's some reasonably priced hotels that we recommend near the office, as I hadn't traveled to Cheyenne very often. The story story I remember from my first day and why I think onboarding is super important. Turn it over to Carrie. I think you had a little bit better first day than me. Do you want to tell us about that?
Thanks, I'd love to. I was relocating from California to Wyoming, and my experience was certainly much different than Julie's. For the interview, the supervisor who was conducting the interview, she made sure that I was aware of what the town was like. She told me which areas to stay from, which areas were good to go in. She spent a lot of time with me even before the interview, just talking about the department as a whole and answering a lot of questions. And then after I was offered the job, during my first day, my supervisor was waiting for me at the door. My office was completely ready to go. I had a list of all of my login information for the computer. I had a welcome letter from the director. Lunch plans were made. Everybody was incredibly welcoming. It was about the most perfect first day I could have asked for, and it was that welcoming attitude that has really encouraged me to maintain my employment here as well. Now, Buddy is going to share a story that she had.
Well, my first day or first week was different than Carrie's, as most of ours are. When I started, my supervisor had told me that since I was probationary for the first year, I could be fired for any reason, including my hair. Now, you guys can't see me, so you'll just have to assume I have wonderful hair, which I do now because I'm obsessed, because I was told I could be fired for any reason. And that's definitely not the message we want to tell our new hires, and that's one of the reasons I got onto onboarding, is to provide a different message to each one. Now we'll go to Miss Elisa to tell us her story.
On my first day, my supervisor took me to my office, put a stack of papers on the desk, and then left me alone. I had no idea what time I was supposed to take lunch. I had no idea where the bathroom was. I had no idea where anything was. I wasn't introduced to anyone. I just kind of was left to fend for myself on my first day. The second day was a little bit better. I found out where the bathroom was, but I had no idea where anything was on the first day. Mark's going to share his story about his second day.
Yeah, funny little story. I joined the department about 10 years ago as a administrative assistant in the policy division. And on the second day of my job, my boss handed me a fairly large stack of letters, and if I could him him with a mail out. And so I told him no problem. I had spent the previous day doing nothing but read policy, and so I was happy to do something different. So he handed me these letters and asked me if I could, fold them and stuff them into the envelopes, and he told me that it was confidential. And so that really got me thinking, oh, this is exciting. This is something, kind of sensitive information, and I was really looking forward to it until I read the letter, and it was actually rejection letters to people who had applied for my job. Needless to say, it was a little awkward, and I think there had been maybe more of a plan in place. It might have gone a little bit smoother my Sunday.
So from everyone in their first days, first impressions are lasting. We have people who have been here for 10 years and still remember how they were treated on those first and second days. So a new relationship. First impression is everlasting. Relationship can be scary, intimidating, and even exciting. Well, I wanted to compare that new relationship with starting a new job. You're committed to the work or that department, and you're ready to get started. And treat those people on those first few moments and first few days are going to be a lasting memory. We all agree that first interaction is very important. When being a new relationship, we need to make sure that we make that memory worthwhile. As a group, that's what we wanted to do. On page 3 of your welcome packets that were sent out, you'll find some statistics that show how important the first interactions of a new relationship are. We took those statistics seriously as a work group, and we think that these statistics needed to motivate us to create a program that was warm-hearted and welcoming. I'm going to show you our introduction clip to our culture training that is part of the onboarding program. Deputy Director Steve Lindley is the individual who introduces and talks about what a positive culture is.
Deputy Director of the Wyoming Department of Corrections, and while I certainly plan and hope to have a chance to meet personally at your respective work sites, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to the Wyoming Department of Corrections.
The onboarding was a welcome from the top down. As we go through this session, you learn more about our program, but let's start at the beginning. About retention, go back to the beginning of time. Purposes of this presentation, let's begin in 2011. The department thoroughly assessed and researched retention. Certain outside experts were consulted and discussed emotional intelligence. In 2013, additional surveys were conducted to determine the level of job satisfaction and determine why staff were leaving. You can see here a large percentage of staff leaving had dissatisfaction with the job and their supervisor.
A survey similar to the one you just viewed, the department organized an initiative to improve job satisfaction and retention. Specifically, the Responsibility Implementation Team was initiated to create a professional work environment where staff treat each other with respect, respond appropriately to situations, and effectively communicate with one another.
Out of these surveys, and as Carrie mentioned, the Responsibility Initiative, the onboarding work group was created under that initiative. Our director, Steve Lindley, said it best with the explanation of what responsibility is. I'll give you guys a few moments to read what his quote is regarding responsibility. Responsibility is something that focuses on everyone's attitudes and how we treat each other. Made up of the several groups that the Deputy Director mentioned. All of these work groups are focused on having a more welcoming environment, not only for our new hires, but for everyone who's a part of the Department of Corrections. But we're here today to focus on onboarding. So exactly what does onboarding do to contribute to responsibility?
It's important to have a clear understanding and a clear definition of onboarding. Not everybody's familiar with the term. You'll see on your screen our definition for what onboarding is to us. There are certainly some keywords in this definition. The first is onboarding is a process. It takes time. We can't expect someone to understand and feel comfortable in their job within a day or even a week. You'll see that we want people to learn aspects of their jobs quickly and smoothly and learn their attitudes and knowledge and skills and behaviors required to function effectively within the organization. We want to help people not only to learn the technical aspects of the job, but also get to know their fellow staff with whom they'll be working closely every day and relying upon. And this would be something that's done quick and smoothly. Anybody in corrections knows that there's not a lot of time before you to be able to jump in and be responsible for things. So the process needed to be something that could get people up to speed fairly quickly. When we talk about function effectively, ultimately the point of onboarding is we want to give our staff the tools they need to succeed in their job.
Next, we needed to figure out our mission and vision. When we did this, this was kind of our guiding light to kind of keep us focused and to create the onboarding program that we have now. The vision is on page 2 of your welcome packet. We created your welcome packet off the template for the welcome packet that we send out to new staff prior to their first day of employment. When we get into our actual program, you will see that onboarding starts prior to the start of employment. To continue to welcome new staff during week 1, we found senior staff that supported onboarding to appear in our positive culture video. This session really exposes new staff to a variety of employees and divisions across the department.
I would say that sit out, relax, enjoy the first year. It's going to be challenging, it's going to be overwhelming. You're going to learn so much about the DOC, about people in general, people business, so many things that you're not prepared for. So give yourself a year to really get in, relax, and understand what's happening in the DOC.
I want to know about your guys' first day. Is there a couple volunteers that would like to tell us about their first day experience, whether it's positive, negative, or whatever?
Do you have any first day stories, or Kevin, would you like to share?
First day was a long time ago, and I don't remember anything out of the ordinary. I mean, I feel like it was a lot of paperwork for the first day. I think, you know, we usually, and a lot of communication prior to the first day coming on board. So probably a lot of questions in my mind about what I was going to be doing and how that was going to work. You know, I didn't get told until I showed up and was put right in a training class, but then was school and policy sign-offs, and then, you know, the classes after that.
Are you still working at that same place? Is this where you work currently now?
Yes.
And you'll have the same program that you started, or has it evolved to something more?
A little.
Hope can help you with that.
More communication with staff before they come on board. In a few times doing testing, and we give them a little more information on what to expect when they get here, what their classes are going to be. I can't talk to that. There's emails coming through.
Thank you. Is there anything else that would like to share about their first day experience? It doesn't be at your current job. Thank you so much for sharing.
This is a map of Wyoming, the big, giant, like, rectangle. And yes, it is an actual state. I know, shocking. So annually, the WDOC has approximately 208 new hires. And onboarding was tasked with creating a program that communicates the same pertinent information to potential employees, and a consistent 40-hour orientation program for the entire department. So as you can see, Wyoming is pretty rural. We have a lot of field offices and institutions which are pretty spread out. So this map is also on page 4 of your welcome packet if you guys want to take a closer look at kind of how things are spread out. And so when we were creating the program, we had to take into consideration the need and amount of staff at each division and how spread out they were.
The work group started to meet in November of 2013. The first month was spent on the research phase. The next 6 months were spent with development and implementation. Now we're in the post-implementation phase. We were not able to find many Department of Corrections or criminal justice agencies with a program that we could utilize and build on. There were corporations and universities with programs, but were not as applicable. We did not have a formal budget for this project and scheduled meetings to avoid overnight travel costs. Members also had to limit overtime requested, and we utilized software and equipment that was already owned by the department. The main program are printing materials, and the majority of the printing is done on-site.
Ruder introduced the team at the beginning of the session, but I thought I would just give you a little bit more background on us. Our work group is a very group of staff really committed to the cause and motivated to succeed. As you can see, our team consists of staff from all divisions across the department, and we've been meeting at least once a month past 3 years. Some of our group travel over 100 miles to attend the meetings, so I think that's really a sign of the commitment and the dedication that we have to making sure that onboarding is a successful program for the department. Here's an example of our onboarding team in action.
Okay, so the onboarding process, as we've already kind of mentioned, is it starts before the first day. One of the things that the director really wanted is it to be the same across the state. We wanted a consistent message from the interview through the job process to them hiring in. So even at the interview, we provide pamphlets to provide pertinent information to the candidates and review the checklist and attendance packets. Duration, that's where we meet the 40-hour ACA standard, and all new full-time employees receive that 40 hours orientation before undertaking their assignments. Specific areas to be covered outlined in each standard. Standard hire dates, we did the first 2 Mondays of the month. This was to kind of help with making sure everyone got on payroll and with our training schedule, sending them to pre-service. So we're thinking about what that looks like for you guys. You guys want to think about logistically you guys can manage onboarding each month, how you can ensure everybody gets paid, which is super important to some people, and how you can manage training them. That's another thing with having them trained twice a month. If we did it every week of the month, then somebody would have to be able to onboard them for every single week. So that was something we learned through this, that's a good time to do that. Some divisions were already meeting this standard, but we needed, again, that consistent orientation throughout the whole department. To design a program that also met mass hires, but also single hires, because as you saw on the map before, some areas may have a probation and parole office that only have one person working there, as opposed to a prison we were hiring 10 to 15 at a time, and this program has to be flexible enough to accommodate both sessions. Again, we wanted to design it so that it had a variety of methods. Just like in this presentation we're giving to you guys, there's some videos, we have notes, you can see the PowerPoint, and we kind of do the same thing with our onboarding process. We do WebEx, we do formal training, they can do policy review and discussion, there's interactive videos, there's some independent study, and some job shadowing. As you can see, too, the breakdown of how many hours they spend with each person for that 4 hours. The manager, they're going to spend 9 hours with, HR is 7 hours, and training is 20. So, again, we want to work in that everyone got their point of onboarding in that first week. The next video will go over our website and how it's broken down to help facilitate this program.
To the onboarding website. This is one-stop shop for everything that you will need. This is a one-stop shop for everything that you will need. This website can be located on the WDOC. This website can be located on the WDOC. Here on the first page, you can see what is onboarding. Website up to date with policy releases. What's entailed with the onboarding program?
Can you?
Really,
Rosalie or Kevin, can I see the YouTube?
I think the sound is pretty bad on the video clips and stuff come through my phone. I don't know if it's on the end because my phone isn't a real high-speed speaker or what, but we can see it.
Well, the onboarding website. This is a one-stop shop for everything that you will need to successfully conduct the onboarding program. This can be located on the WDOC intranet page. Here's the page. You can see what is onboarding. We can site up to date with policy releases, snapshot of what's entailed with the onboarding program. This page does have a lot of information and contains the program's mission and vision. Is the training page. For this video, you most likely get through this page. Through the program, utilize the training resources to make sure you know what's expected of the program. If you're a manager, HR manager, or training lieutenant who hasn't conducted the program in a while, utilize the training resources as a refresher. Next, policy page. This will be able to locate onboarding policy. Send a link here, and the policy will download. Onboarding procedure. This document is very, very important and to detail everything related to onboarding. Who's involved? What mission and vision? What work is involved? What when we're completed? If questions or you're new to the program, we encourage that you go through and read the procedure. Then before the first day, when we're ready to hire an individual and do interviews, we make sure our ducks are in a row. So lists were created. When you're getting ready for those interviews, utilize this pre-interview checklist. When your interviews, you're going to use the interview checklist. You're going to fill out these pamphlets to make sure that our new hires have pertinent policy information. When you're ready to offer an individual a job, you're going to utilize the job offer checklist. And lastly, when we're getting ready for the new hire's first day, we're going to utilize new hire preparation checklist to get everything set up and the day goes smoothly. New hire welcome packet. Now, the new hire welcome packet is actually part of the first day. This will be mailed out to the new hire prior to them starting with us. But we have a separate tab because there's a lot of information. The new packet is going to contain a welcome letter from the director. It's going to contain town-specific information such as restaurants, real estate information, utility information, and some vision-specific information such as organization charts, information about the training academy in Rollins for our institutional and central office new hires. Those will contain information about the Wyoming Law Enforcement Academy so that our new hires know what's going to be expected for their new training. These are actually also helpful for transfers as far as the division and town-specific information. If you're a supervisor and someone's transferring to your area, it may be beneficial to print off some of this material and make sure they know the utility schedule or the restaurants in their town if they haven't been to the town very often. Orientation week really is where you're going to spend most of your time. This is a 40-hour formal training required by ACA. This is where HR and our training lieutenant team up 4 hours of training. It's so imperative that these three coordinate and make sure that we have a smooth week. We've got some quick tips because there is a lot involved with the process, and we're hopeful that these are helpful. 1.6 is going to be the guide to this 40 hours. Who's involved for what items do we need to cover, what handout refers to what item. Everything that you'll need for those 40 hours hours of training is going to be listed here. It may be simple as, where is that DVD that we need to watch? Or it'll be a link to the online training. Here, we're going to click on this link, and it's going to take us to the WYO training online course. We can in with our State of Wyoming Gmail account, and we have step-by-step instructions of how to get into this course. So you can pull those up and make sure you're familiar with them so you can help out your new staff member. Everything that you'll need for this 40 hours of training is listed here. Every handout, you can click on these, download them, print them. Training lieutenant, and you're doing a formal training, for example, the drug-free workplace, you'll need to get on here, download your lesson plan, download your PowerPoint so you're ready for that. So any training material, you'll be responsible for coming and getting those. You can see that the personality lingo is copyrighted, so it can only be used one time. For onboarding purposes, we can't be letting staff get home and giving it to their friends and family, so we did put that disclaimer here. The web links that may be useful to the new staff are listed here, so show that the new staff the website. We're going to all this material, but it's always available to you. So if you want to come back and see a handout that we talked about, you can always access this site. Put these web links on here that may be beneficial to you. Additional supplemental material that you may need with the program, depending on your division, and also some documents may be helpful, such as to keep in mind when dealing with inmates. There are the full PDF packs. We created these so you didn't have to go through all the handouts one by one, open them, print them, open, print them. You just open the Field Services Orientation Packet, print it. It's going to have your Form 120.6, the DOC forms that are referenced, and the handouts that we'd be giving to the new staff. You'll see here, though, that because of that copyright issue, you'll have to actually download handouts 13.1 and 13.2 for personality quiz if you use the hard copies, or if you want to use the online copies, links are up here as well. Create your full PDF packet, and you'll have everything that you need as far as what you would hand to the individual. And if you're getting a topic and you need a lesson plan, you'll have to come on and those separately. Is the Contact Us tab. You can see here that your 8 representatives are listed, so you can contact them if you have any questions. One tab is our Frequently Asked Questions tab. We've had quite a few questions over the year with the program being, so we've tried to create this page, so hopefully it's helpful to you if you have a question here to see if it's already listed and maybe be an answer for you. You may have noticed that at the top of every page, there's an onboarding feedback link. Now, this is a link for you able to utilize to give onboarding work group feedback. You click on this, and it's going to take you to a survey, essentially, and you're given the opportunity to advise information is incorrect, maybe you have a suggestion to improve the program, or maybe something is just going awesome. The program is really effective, and you share that, so we can share those success stories with other people. We encourage you to provide feedback. We encourage you to utilize the resources on the onboarding website. I hope that your onboarding experience is great. Thanks for taking the time to invest in our new individuals and build our team.
As you saw from our one-stop shop website, we included onboarding to be a hiring process before the first day and 40-hour orientation. Part 40-hour orientation, as we mentioned earlier, was bring this positive culture and welcoming atmosphere to the new hire. We want them to feel welcome. We wanted to bring a little fun to this. We didn't want that 40 hours to just be policy review, to just be about their job duties. We also want it to be about the bigger picture. why is it great to work for us, and what is so much fun about working for the Department of Corrections, but also how can you contribute to this positive culture as a new employee. So we're going to show you one of our communication we have in our positive culture video.
How are you today? I'm Julie. I'm doing well. Excellent. Well, thank you for making the time to meet with me. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page for our onboarding website development that we have Friday. I really like that idea. I feel like we need to be a united front, and that we need to come to that meeting just as one team. That's exactly what I was thinking. So what we can do today is go over the agenda, just like you said, make sure we're on the same page with you. So first item on my agenda is the layout. So I think we can talk about, I'm so much afraid about the layout of the webpage, because I have to tell you, I've been thinking about the colors all night. I literally was thinking, we need a really good color scheme, we need something that's appealing to all the audience, because the onboarding website is the go-to spot, and wanted to be something that's really colorful, but yet says professional. Already thought of lots of great ideas for the color scheme. Sure. So we talked about on the agenda, the first thing we'll talk about is layout. We'll give 30 minutes to that, and that was actually my first item, so I'm glad you brought that up. We talked about the colors, make sure it's appealing, people want to go there, they're excited about it. The next thing I thought under layout we can talk about is the logo. I already thought about, I cannot wait for you. Are you ready? That's a really good idea. Yeah. My favorite. Onboarding, water, yeah. Okay, right, yep, all right, perfect. So I knew you would love that. All right, yep, back to the agenda. So we had layout, 30 minutes there, colors, logo. So the next main item that I want to talk about is our team. You know, I was thinking we need to have an open door policy when it comes to our team. We really need to have kind of, Kayla, you need to stick to the agenda. We got to get back to the agenda. Yeah, but you just don't listen to any single idea. None of them. You're just like, oh, we're going to go back to the agenda. Pause. Go ahead and discuss what happened if the communication styles continue to clash. Thank you.
So as you can see in this video, this was part of our positive culture, but specifically communication styles and how different communication styles can clash. And our goal with this piece of training was to demonstrate how important it is to be in tune with other individuals' communication styles, and that you're going to be working with a variety of styles. We have our new employees actually take the personality lingo test and then apply it in these different scenarios and how they can react better in those circumstances when you have a gold communicator versus an orange communicator. So what we were going to demonstrate here with this video is to show you that you can provide lessons, also it can be fun. It's hard to kind of spread word throughout on a video, but this was one way that we made it interactive using technology.
I'm going to go over lessons learned. First is our volunteer work group. A majority of staff volunteered to be part of this work group, and this prevented complaining and focused on problem solving. A few members were instructed by their managers or voluntold and did not necessarily have the best interest of the department in mind. These members were not active in the group and eventually resigned.
Initially, staff from training were not part of the core group, and it was quickly realized that it would be beneficial to have individuals from field services and prison division training join our group to utilize work that had already been completed and determine what would meet the needs of both divisions.
And we learned that it's really important to have the people on the ground implementing this program involved in the development of the program. We really wanted to make sure we had discussions with HR, new employees, managers, and current employees to understand and determine where gaps were between hiring and retaining staff members. And those are the subject matter experts when it comes to identifying the needs of the department. Even with this process, as you saw, we have everyone from all over divisions involved. We realized that we left some staff out. We realized it's really important to have the people who are implementing this program have a voice in how we develop it and what the needs are for the training of the new employees. It's really important to, whatever means access all of those individuals who are going to be involved in the onboarding process.
As Kayla mentioned, there were gaps that we identified between our hiring and our retention. One thing we did well was to identify those gaps and then to develop a mission and a vision statement for onboarding, which would kind of help guide the process. And this would really make sure that our group was on the same page and had the same goals, so that we were being consistent with the mission and vision of the overall department.
What we learned is to get support and approval. Throughout the process, we learned that support and approval from the CEO is very important. We were fortunate enough to have our director's support of the 40-hour orientation program, and we were able to implement rather quickly. That's a huge piece for us. If we wouldn't have had his support, it would have taken us a lot longer, and we'd have a lot more uphill battles. So make sure your management is on board with this. The thing that was on our lessons learned is the transition. The onboarding think tank, what we call ourselves, took this responsibility of creating and implementing this program. However, this was designed to be a temporary work group, and we are now in the transition phase. The plan is to be assigned to the Human Resource Division, as they will maintain and oversee. We encourage that when creating your program, you discuss how you will sustain it as well. Coming to this point where we had to transition to HR, we would caution you to have HR more involved from the beginning.
Next, I'm going to go over the evaluation and first update phase. We're currently evaluating the before the first day and orientation portions of onboarding. We sent formal surveys to staff that have utilized the program. The majority of staff involved with the process have given positive feedback. 64.3% rated the onboarding and orientation process as excellent or good. We have all staff involved the opportunity to attend a meeting to streamline and update the program. We understand this program has to be flexible and able to change with the needs of the department. Evaluation and update will be an ongoing process. During the onboarding forum we had with staff, we shared the evaluation results, and the staff had them identify legitimate issues and create action plans. Through this forum, we've provided staff across divisions the opportunity to improve the program and to meet things of the department. Recommended that a forum like this be positive, reiterate what onboarding is and why it is important, as well as develop the non-negotiables from the beginning. This makes our meeting effective. Each participant complete a survey once they have done onboarding, and this allows the group to move forward with suggestions as well. We're currently in the process of transitioning from the onboarding group, sustaining this program to HR, to HR so that they can sustain the program.
So the next few slides, we're going to have a couple graphs that we've gained from our surveys and things like that. So we asked them, as an employee of the Wyoming Department of Corrections, did they believe that they were accepted and valued as a team member? And you can see that more staff feel valued with team members since the responsibility and onboarding efforts began. And then on this slide, we were able to see that staff feel safer doing their job through onboarding.
That staff feel like their supervisor seems to care more about them as a person.
And you'll see overall there's satisfaction among employees who have worked with the WDOC for 6 months. Also, one thing to note is just recently we completed our agency's annual report. In fiscal year 2016, we did see a slight increase in our staff retention rates, which is significant because we have not seen that rate increase in probably the last 3 years. So whether attributed to onboarding or the responsibility initiative or just conversation about how important and valuable our employees are, we are seeing some positive outcomes with that.
Okay, so that concludes our formal presentation, and we will open it up to some questions if you guys have some. And the onboarding team would end the presentation without trying to recruit. So now that you've seen all the great things that we're doing here at the Wyoming Department of Corrections, we, of course, would like to encourage you all to come work for us. Also, contact information is on the last page of your welcome packet. If you are thinking about developing a program, please feel free to contact us. The onboarding effort we've done has been a hard work, but it's definitely been well worth it. We've seen a lot of ups and downs. We've learned a lot, and that's why we wanted to share that with you today, because I'm sure you guys have similar issues as we do, that corrections is a tough field for people to stay in for a long period of time, and so if there's something we can get help experience, at least initially up front, we definitely want to do that. And I hope you guys are thinking about doing this at your facilities or already started, but you have to reinvent the wheel. Anything that we've come up with, we are more than happy to share with you all as well. That said, and I do want to thank the team for doing a nice job on their training today. Good job, guys. With that said, any questions from either Kevin or Rosalie and her folks?
No questions here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Okay, Kevin. Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking through your packets, and I'm assuming this onboarding process continues on through the employee's probationary period. Is that right, or is this just for when they first come on board?
So our orientation packet is just for the first 4 hours. We have tried to extend this to like a second phase, and we were on schedule to do so, and then unfortunately with some budget reductions, we were asked to not continue with phase 2. Part of phase 2 included some traveling, and with our budget reductions, they have said kind of no more traveling. We're pretty spread out. We're a very rural state, so it made it harder. Now, in a state that isn't so rural, you could continue on and do a really good phase 2 program pretty effectively. And our phase 2 was really going to look at some ongoing coaching for about a year out, having different people kind of sponsor new hires and have them be, kind of that sounding board if something was going on, give them direction, help them network, help them solve problems that they face so that we didn't lose people. We know statistically with onboarding that if they don't feel welcome in about the first few days, they're going to leave. So just the first week is not really enough. We'd like to, after this budget recession passes, kind of look back at phase 2 and try and implement that again.
Our highest turnover rate is with our officers, of course, here. I'm sure it's similar with yours as well. Do you have an OJT program then for those officers in place already, or is this just the start of your thing with the onboarding and you don't have any formal OJT program or anything in place? Or?
Yeah, we do have formal OJT, and I'm going to turn this over to Julie and Elisa, who actually run some of our OJT programs.
So your probation and parole, we have a regional training program that covers 3 of our bigger training topics that they can't wait until the formal pre-service training. So our case management system, sentence investigations, and our risk need assessment. And we also have an FTO program with modules and task lists, so step-by-step things that we want to ensure our staff are doing consistently across the state, such as collecting ways, or we have task lists, so there's some sort of guide of what information needs to be covered with each position.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're okay. And then for our officer OJT, we have an extensive program for that at each facility. So the officers actually go through the onboarding course, and then they'll go to kind of their basic training, and then they'll go back to their facility where they'll do the OJT program. So
yeah, that's similar to what we're doing now. So
yeah. Your question?
Yeah, actually did. Thank you.
Are you going to be at the IACTP conference in Lewis?
Yes, ma'am.
Meg's going to be doing a roundtable on field training officer programs. So that we're going to be like pulling from a bunch of people from different states and talking about what have in sharing a bunch of that information after the training session.
I'm looking forward to it.
Did you have any other questions?
No, that's it for now. You know, are you going to be at the IACTP conference, or anybody there, anybody that's in this group as well, going to be there?
Lucky winner. They're all yelling at me. Julie, I will be there.
Good. So after I look through the documents and stuff a little bit more, if I have any other questions, I can kind of holler at you there. Is that correct? Right? Or
grab me and we'll talk it up.
okay. All right. Good.
Kevin, are you thinking about starting an onboarding program?
Well, I like the looks of the documents and stuff that you all have here with it. I mean, we do similar to this, but it's not broken down into the way that you all have it spelled out here. So I can't say that the consistency is always there with our program with the new employee orientation week and stuff. So.
Yeah, we had found that everybody was kind of doing their own orientation, and the consistency was a big issue, and so that was one reason we put together. So everyone's using the same material, so it does help a lot. It's a little bit of work to get it all organized, but once you get it organized, really the maintenance of it isn't that bad. It takes a little while, but once you get it in place, it's not so bad.
Yes, it's very detailed. I like it. I like the way it's broken out and stuff. So, yeah, we might look at implementing some of it here as well. So,
we'll definitely find Julie in October, and she can definitely give you some of those specifics. And if there's anything that we can give you as templates that you can replicate for your own agency, we'd be happy to provide that for you.
And I can mail this Christy.Weiler@wyo.gov. Is that right?
Yep, it's me. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, great, Christy. That sounds good.
Well, thank you guys. We really appreciate your time. At the very end, we do have some funny bloopers. You don't have to watch them, but they were bloopers from our long video on communication. So if there's no other questions, I'll play that, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you, Christy.
Program manager. feels like